Welcome into another edition of Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard, and before we get anything started, please subscribe down below. Please leave any comment you got for me as I'm continuing on here on Mavs Latest because this is every day, all things Dallas Mavericks with me, Josyah Howard. But let's start here. ESPN's Jeremy Woo, he surveyed 20 anonymous NBA executives and scouts in Las Vegas at Summer League, and the consensus is that the Dallas Mavericks forward Cooper Flagg will in fact win 25-26 Rookie of the Year. Uh, Obviously, the Mavericks had a 1.8% chance of landing Cooper Flagg, as everyone knows. And the youngster is expected to have a pretty high usage rate as Kyrie Irving continues to recover from his ACL injury. And Wu writes in his piece that the early rookie of the year frontrunner isn't exactly a surprise. Cooper Flagg was the number one pick for a good reason, not only being a top prospect, but perhaps the most NBA ready player in the class. He joins the Mavericks, expected to lean on him as Kyrie recovers from his ACL injury. Flags playmaking skills, positional size, and defensive impact project to be immediately useful. Wu writes. He continued on and caught up with one Eastern Conference executive, and he said, I assume someone like Ace Bailey or Trey Johnson might outscore Cooper as a rookie, but Cooper will make more meaningful contributions that will push Dallas into the play-in range. First of all, if the Mavericks aren't a competitive play-in team at least, and that to me the definition of a competitive play-in team is that 7-8 spot where you're in a position where you just need one victory and you're in the playoffs. That is a competitive play-in team to me. That's what, with Kyrie coming back possibly by trade deadline March, they should be that. And anything less than that to me is disappointing, honestly. And I think Cooper plays a lot of that. Like the conference Eastern Conference exec told Jeremy Woo. Cooper is going to be in position to make meaningful contribution to the Dallas Mavericks winning at a high level, not just winning games here and there, winning multiple games at a high level. Cooper's going to play a key role in that. And if he does do that and you expect him to do that, he should walk right into a Rookie of the Year award. So 17 of 20 executives saying that Cooper's going to win Rookie of the Year, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't at all. Um, because that's the position he's in, and that's exactly what he should do. So, Cooper Flagg, um, walking into this season, heavily favored as the Rookie of the Year, and for good reason. But somebody that is used to having some attention on him, Kevin Durant, according to NBA insider Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, there was a chance that if Kyrie doesn't tear his ACL, that Kevin Durant ends up with the Dallas Mavericks. And Scoop B continues to say, and just talking to people around the league, I got the sense, and I started reporting it around February, March, that if Kyrie had not injured his knee, tore his ACL, we might be having a conversation around Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as members of the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie Irving's injury, his knee, was really, no pun intended, the Achilles heel as to why Kevin Durant did not find his way to the Dallas Mavericks. And that's an interesting note to find out that Kevin Durant would still have interest in trying to run it back with Kyrie, and that obviously didn't happen. But just the mere fact that it's out there that he would even be interested in trying to run it back. I get they played in Brooklyn during COVID, so that was a complicated time. It's not apples and oranges to situations, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe they felt robbed, and maybe they felt like they could do it in Dallas. And we're probably never going to see it. He's probably going to retire a Houston Rocket. But just to know that it was a possibility is a fun thought exercise because let's just say you do make that trade and maybe it's Klay Thompson's involved, maybe PJ Washington's involved. If you swap KD for either one of those two, even right now, that's an improvement. That's not a lateral move. That's improvement. Even with KD being the age he is and the where he is at in his career, he is still going to give you about 25, 7, and 5. Like, he's still going to be an impactful player for you. And more impactful than Klay at this point, more impactful than PJ Washington, unfortunately, probably ever will be. And that's no knock to PJ Washington. We're talking about Kevin Durant here. We're talking about one of the top 15, 20 greatest basketball players to ever walk this earth. So I don't want to feel like that's PJ Washington shakes. I think PJ Washington's a really good NBA player, but there's levels to this. And if you were to bring in a Kevin Durant, I'm not saying you're an automatic title contender, but I am saying that the Dallas Mavericks were one of the few teams that if you don't give up too many assets, he fits perfectly. And he's the type of player that fits perfectly on almost any team. But the timeline would have fit, everything would have fit perfectly with Kevin Durant joining the team. I mean, they probably don't get Cooper Flag, so in the end, it worked out for the Dallas Mavericks. With hindsight, obviously, I'd rather have 15 years of Cooper Flag than 3 years of Kevin Durant. But yeah, it's just a fun thought exercise. Brandon Scoop B. Robinson reporting that it almost happened that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving reuniting in Dallas to be teammates on the Mavericks. Almost happened, but the ACL injury to Kyrie's knee was the nail in the nail that ended it there. And now he's in Houston, and we'll see how Houston stacks up in the West and how they compete with the Dallas Mavericks. But I want to move on to Tim Bontemps. He did a rebuild ranking, and he threw the Dallas Mavericks at number 2. Noting that they have 6 players under 25, they have 3 tradable first round picks, they have 2 players on rookie scale contracts. Um, and they're in a spot when he notes that they're in a spot where they have plenty of veterans that they can lean on and win now, but then they have the flexibility to then decide when to give the keys to Cooper Flag. And he also projects that the estimated return to quote unquote relevance could be as early as 2026 when Kyrie returns, but realistically, the 2026-2027 season where they could be a real be in the real mix for the Western Conference playoffs with a full healthy season with this group and another off season of being able to move things around and be flexible. So I like this ranking for them. One, when you have a pick like Cooper Flag, you're automatically, in terms of quote unquote rebuild, shot up to the top. I mean, Spurs got number 1. Obviously, you have a prospect like Victor Wembanyama drafting Dylan Harper. You're obviously going to be number 1 on the rebuild rankings. But when you bring in Cooper Flag, number 2, it makes sense. And the Mavericks are in a spot where they can compete now and then choose when they want to build around Cooper Flag. That's a great spot to be in. They need to keep being able to move things around and be flexible because when it's time to build around Cooper Flag, they're going to need to be able to make these moves, and they can't be tied down to a eventual bad Anthony Davis contract, eventual possible bad contract in Klay Thompson or Kyrie Irving in terms of the age around it. So The Mavericks and Nico Harrison in particular are going to need to be very deliberate on when they decide it's time to fully build around Cooper Flag. But I want to wrap things up with a little Mavs chatter, and Mavs Moneyball had a little fun with the Summer League all-time stats leaders, and they got some help from Real GM to pull the Dallas Mavericks all-time leaders and Summer League stats. And we started off with most games played, where AJ Lawson leads the way, 15 games played for Dallas Summer League. Finney Smith played 14, coming in at 2, and AJ Lawson has not only the most games but the most points, and he will pop up on this list quite a bit. So most total points at 233. Cooper Flag is now the points per game leader, only playing 2 games though. But with a significant amount of games played, Dwight Powell leads with 18.8 points per game in Summer League. Justin Anderson leads with most 3-pointers with 28 total. Coming in second is AJ Lawson with 26, and Roddy Boubois with 21. Rebounds, Bernard James leads with 85 total, and AJ Lawson at second with 80. Dwight Powell leads per game though with 9.2. Dominique Jones and Gail Michael they are tied with the most assists at 42 each. Dennis Smith right behind them with 37 with 8 games total, and the other two played 10 games total. Most likely Dennis Smith would have passed him if he got those 2 other games. Ryan Nembhard leading in assists per game at 6.7, only playing those 3 games. AJ Lawson leading in steals, also at 22 total. Jay Crowder right behind him at 21 steals. And Bernard James leading with the most blocks with the Mavericks Summer League at 22. DJ Mbanga leading with 2.8 blocks per game in Summer League. And finally, turnovers. Rodney Boubois leads the way, 39 total. Devin Harris technically leads turnovers per game with 5 per game with only 2 games. Jaden Hardy right behind him with 4 per game with 8 total games. 8 total games, excuse me. But just thought that would be kind of fun to go over who are the Dallas Mavericks all-time leaders in stat categories in Summer League. But this has been Mavs Latest. I am Josyah Howard. Again, please subscribe down below. Please leave any comments you got for me down below. And let's get it, y'all.